In 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to FrameCast number 25. I think this time we can celebrate a small milestone, can't we?
Yeah.
So yay, we're here. We've been doing this for 25 episodes. How's it going, Drew? How you doing?
I'm good. So I want to point out, I'm glad you actually segued to me. I want to point out that our thumbnail for episode 24 is the Railjack with a giant delayed label on it. And then, like, the very next day, Railjack came out.
Yeah, maybe we should do that more. Just make a thumbnail with things on it, slap delayed on it, and then Warframe comes around and says, "No, joke's on you."
Yeah.
If we played him though like that, maybe the joke's on them again.
But maybe if we did that, we get a new war.
Actually, did you not see that I put like the sentient right next to the Railjack, which was from
I've only just seen that. Yeah.
So, come on, DE, where is this coming from? Where is our new war?
Yeah.
So yeah, how have you been enjoying Railjack? What do you think?
It's questionable whether or not I should be captain.
What do you say?
Well, I'm clearly like the best pilot, and with the amount of time that I'm piloting, I can't really be captaining at the same time. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know from yesterday that Xandi is the one true captain of Warframe. So
And I'm the one true Viking.
yes, that's the case. By the way, if you missed last stream, that's a reference to it. But anyway, overall, were you expecting it to come out? So, I mean, I wouldn't say so soon, but when it came out, were you ready for it?
No, I was not. I even took a bet with Zale saying, Railjack's not going to come out this week. Nah, honestly, no. But guarantee you 100%, no, 99.99999%, because nothing's certain that Railjack is not coming out this week. And then literally 2 days later, drops Railjack, and I'm like, son of a bitch.
So yeah,
let's just shut up.
What did you bet for, by the way?
Oh no! It was like because he was, what should I make content for, and I was just like, just focus on Destiny 2 because Railjack's not going to come out this week, and then literally like, yeah.
So yeah, Warframe's Railjack update, one of the, I think pretty much the biggest update of the year dropped for the game, and since we have been talking about it pretty much last week, talking about the delays of the new war and stuff like that, we figured let's do a first impression FrameCast here on this podcast and talk about the things that it brought to the table, the things that it didn't bring to the table. Last week we spoke about that your biggest fear was that it wouldn't be as good at launch and that it would be plagued with problems of communication and people not understanding it, and that because of that it might not be all too popular. How much did those fears come true or not come true?
So just to highlight back from what we were talking about, those fears did get massively tapered by what you had said. Like you gave me encouraging words. Not to get too. Wait a second. Why is there a notification on the Warframe? Oh no, that's fine. It's a Vira Prime access. No worries. Right. So I was just like, they dropped new war. No, not quite. Right. So I think that when we'd come to the conclusion of the last episode, a lot of my fears and everything had been tapered. That being said, though, I do think that there are communication issues, right? When you're in a pubby game and things like that, people do not talk to each other. There are instances where, like, okay, I've done a mission, now I want to go off and do the next. Nope, we're going to go and, find the resources. And I'm like, oh, come on, I just want to shoot shit. So there is a big chasm of communication, because even games like League of Legends and things, you still have to have some form of communication in order to actually play effectively. And I think that will taper off as time goes by, that people won't need to communicate nearly as regularly as we do now in the early days. But right now, it does feel like, I mean, heck, even yesterday, Zandy wanted to park the Railjack in an asteroid and then everyone go out in Arcwing, and I was just like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm flying the damn thing.
I loved his tactic of just jamming the new spaceship right into an asteroid and just being like, okay, now I'm just going to go off by myself while this thing is just miles away.
Yep.
Different tactics. But in general, if you had to say mostly positive, mostly in the middle, mostly negative, what are your feelings towards the update?
So, given that it's only been out for, 5 days?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I would say mostly positive, but time will tell. So Is this the new shiny thing, must be happy, so good, or is there more to it?
So have you were talking about the communication things, especially when it comes to public play. Have you been playing a lot of public missions, or have you mostly been playing with friends?
I've mostly been playing with friends. I have played a few public missions, and they instantly turned me off from doing more. It was quite difficult, like bad. And so God, what do I say? I opted to stick with man-made teams, pre-built teams. I stuck with those because I am in an unlucky position where I can easily do this. I can easily get people together. I can just put a shout out on my Discord channel, Discord server, and it's doable. Actually, do you mind if I invite people that's listening in onto the Discord server?
Yeah, no problem. You can put in your Discord link, and we can also put it in the comments down below. It will be linked in the description if you're watching this as a video or as a podcast. If you guys want to join in and be in Xeno's very active Discord server, or my slightly less active Discord server, there will probably be links. If you can join in. I'm going to take a really cool question out of chat, which from the Red Fox. It says, what has been the best and funniest thing with Railjack for you so far?
What's been the best and funniest?
Yeah, just like the funniest moment so far.
I think the funniest moment is, again, down to communication, where people just get to listen to me lose my shit over piloting the Railjack. In terms of the best moment, actually, I've got to say, when I upgraded my ship's guns yesterday, and then we went out, and like it felt like I'd gone from the MK1 Bratton to the Bratton. It was such a proud, defining moment.
That's nice. For me, it was probably when Sandy just said, "Okay, now we're just gonna leave the ship here, and we're just gonna go off," and I was like, "Right." That was yesterday on the stream. But anyway, so far, comparing this launch to Arcwing, what are things that it did particularly right compared to Arcwing? Because I think that this is, aside from it also being in space, it's an entirely different subsystem of Warframe. It's very unlike the open world. Shares a lot of the same mechanics, shares a lot of the same guns and mod systems, and like Arcwing, Railjack brings something entirely new to the table. New missions, but also new materials, new mods, new guns, new systems to explore. And I think the last time they did that was with Arcwing, which wasn't as successful. So how do you feel that it did compared to the Arcwing launch?
I got a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play Arcwing when it first launched?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool. Because I will want your opinion on this as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, personally, I think the only difference that was achieved was the announcement. The announcement was spectacular, right? A literal spectacle, because they did it at the Game Awards, and it was a good ploy. It was a good way to get people's interest in. There's no tutorial, right? Which is worse than Arkwing. Arkwing's tutorial is awful anyway. The modding system is confusing and convoluted when the weapons stuff. The weapons stuff I can understand quite quickly. The ability to identify that that same named weapons have different attributes to them. So like some might have more capacity, some might have less capacity, but more cooldown or what have you. So that was easy to pick up. The avionics, again, relatively easy and not the avionics, the intrinsics. Sorry. So the tutorial was a bit rough, a bit lackluster, bit not there.
It was just not there. There was no tutorial.
Sai's commentary during the actual gameplay itself lives up to what we saw at TennoCon. I love his commentary, and like I'm happy for him to keep talking at me, because that was a thing that was a concern. The other side of things, I really feel that the marketing was the only strong point, right, in making people aware that it's come out, right? I don't really remember Arkwing that well, but I don't remember it having such a janky release. What are your feelings?
Well, interesting you might ask, because I feel for once in our 25 episodes, I am very much opposite of yours.
Really?
Yes, I am, because I did not watch the Game Awards. I did not watch any of these things outside it. So to come back on how did Arkwing do it? Arkwing they did their Gamescom announcement. This was before TennoCon, because in 2015 they announced they had this Tenno Live at Gamescom in Germany, and then they announced Arkwing, kind of like a Tenno live stream, but it was way smaller back then. And
are you sure?
I am sure, because they first started off saying, "Oh, here is Wormia's. This is our big update." But I can go look it up. I
think it was 2014, because I was at the 2015. There was only a VIP party. I got the start.
Okay, yeah, it might have been 2014, but it was the Arkwing Tenno Live. We can go look it up. So, no, it was 2014, the big reveal, update for 15. Yeah, it was 2014.
Yeah, so there was a panel and things.
Yeah, they didn't panel and things. So, I mean, for the time, it was pretty big. But anyway, let's get into what do I not agree on? Let's take this point by point. First off, I think that the integration was really, really bad. There was no tutorial or anything, and I've been surprised by the last few updates how little they have done with it. In the sense of when the focus system was introduced, it came with like the second Dream Quest. When Arkwing was introduced, it came with the Arkwing Quest. Even though the moment of like, boom, you hear your Arkwing isn't really the best thing ever in terms of like introducing people to the system, it did introduce people to the system. Now, one might say that, hey, this is the Railjack Rising Tide thing is a quest that will get you ready to build your Railjack, and that will get you, that leads you into this. But, I mean, kind of it does if you start out right now and you finish it off, then, it will just tell you, Sai will just tell you the Railjack is finished. But there's nothing to tell you that the Railjack is finished or where to enter when you enter into the game. Very funny thing is the very first, like, the letter of the update says, "Our job is to teach you how to do Railjack," and they don't do anything at all with it. Now, this might be a little bit petty, but like one of the main things is that if you find your way to the Railjack and you start a mission from your Railjack, you're excluded from public matchmaking, even if you're set on public. So my first experience was that I went to my Railjack, and the first few missions, I was all alone. I don't think that that's an optimal way to be introducing people to a Railjack.
No, I concur. I mean, the big problem with actually to be fair, I'm just going to point out we do actually agree. We don't disagree. It's just the marketing thing that I think they've done. Anyway, regardless of that, I do feel that the introduction to how to do Railjack is just too confusing. You need to do it with multiple people. You cannot solo it.
This is one thing where I feel a bit strongly about, and I do want to water it down a little bit because I've been talking with some people and they've been saying, well, a lot of these things are very, very petty. You need to get over that because if you want to learn about it, you can look it up online. And if you want to play it if you don't want to be in this like, oh, no one joins me, you just got to put in some effort and get friends around you. And I say, yeah, that's fireworks. I agree. Maybe that's maybe more of a personal problem with me. Maybe I don't have that much time available to me right now. But I've just been surprised by the last few updates, what the lackluster implementation they have. We had it with the Kuvaliches, we talked about it. We had it with Rising Tide a little bit, where we were talking about the way that Sai is introduced and stuff like that. And now we have it with the biggest update that I've been working on for 1.5 years, which is just thrown out there. And I don't understand it. I think that one of my key points with Railjack is that I really like it as a 4-player in a Discord team raid idea. What we did yesterday on stream with Sandy, it's really fun. But there are two main points of contention I have, aside from the introduction stuff. The first one is that I think Warframe is a co-op game. Now, let me set a few definitions for which I'm going to continue the discussion with. So when I say co-op, I want to distinguish that from solo play, and I want to distinguish that from friends play. Solo play is when I set my mission to solo, I do it all by myself, and there's no one else around me. That's solo play. I don't think Warframe is a solo game. It accommodates for solo players, but it's not centered on them, because it's a co-op game. When I'm talking about playing with friends, I'm talking about reaching out to other people, setting a date, being like, hey, do you want to go and play Railjack together? Oh yeah, let's make sure we're all online. And this can be either via, we're in the same Discord server and people are doing it right now, or this can be via you call up your friends, you set a time and date for when you're going to do it, but it's something you organize with friends. And I think that Warframe really well accommodates that. I think it invites that as well. But that's exclusive to people that have these contacts outside the game or met through the game, but that's still outside the game relations that they have on hand. I think Warframe shines as a co-op game, where it's like, I'm going to turn on Warframe, I'm going to play some missions, and I jump into a mission, I jump in, I find 3 other people, which I don't know, but we're working together to do something. I think that's co-op. It's not solo, it's not with friends, but it's co-op. I feel that point 1 is that this Railjack system, as it presents itself right now, is not necessarily a co-op system more than it is a friends system. Like, you need to know people around you to go do a mission and do it well. Secondly, to know what's going on, because a lot of the things like, piloting the ship kind of speaks for itself, but manning the guns, finding the Omni tool is really hard. Someone needs to tell you that, because no one tells you that there's an Omni tool. And also, point 2, the meaning of the missions. I feel that Railjack is quite unsure as to where it wants to position itself. Is it another layer of, like, it's just Warframe missions, but in a different kind of take? Instead of doing random missions, you're just doing random Railjack missions? Or are we doing raid-type missions, where it's like, we're in our big epic spacecraft, and we're going out with the 4 of us, and we're going all out, and, like, we have 2 people manning the guns, and we have 1 piloting and 1 going around and doing other things? Is that it? Because I get the sensation that that's what they're shooting for, and that's what I feel whenever we're, like, going at bases and we're, like, diving in, and, like, what we saw in the trailers, where they're like, Railjack team, shoot at this base, base team, hack the thing. However, if I'm actually going into the missions, they're just regular missions, but there's no plot line. It's like, when you're getting into Railjack for the first time, you're just sitting there like, okay, I can do missions. Why are we going after these Grineer? What are these Grineer doing that's so bad? It's like when you joined Warframe 5 years ago, of course, it wasn't really there, but you still had like Captain 4 that you would go to, and it was like, okay, let's beat the bosses. And now it's like, let's do nodes because we do nodes. And I think that meaning is being given to you when you're doing it with friends, when like the meaning of Railjack becomes, I want to do Railjack with friends. But if you're in the solo co-op player scenario where you're like, all right, I want to play Warframe, it's lacking. So I think my main point is like, it's very much designed for friends, and I think less for co-op.
I completely agree with you, right? I think that it is a friends-based game, friends-based experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it is a foundation, as pointed out in chat. It's the beginnings, because I think, realistically, DE are struggling to identify how to get the solo play thing to work. Realistically, I think they need to analyze the situation. They need to get user data and be able to say, that's a thing. You know, we need, if you're a solo, maybe if you're solo play, you should be able to just teleport around your set, because there is actually a skill within your intrinsics. Yep. No, wait. I'm just going to say yes. The challenge trees that allows you to go from section to section of the ship instantly. Right? Maybe if you're on solo play, that's just something you should have if you haven't unlocked it, but you have to be on solo.
Well,
right?
I want to point out that I think that Warframe is a co-op game. So, like, I don't think that it necessarily has to always cater entirely to an entire solo experience. But I think that this is an entire friends experience, because if you want to go into public play, it makes things way, way harder. Like, you really have to be lucky to find a group of people which knows what they're doing if you're starting out, and then have that group of people kind of like work. It's kind of like if you join into a public mission, you just jump in and it's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna shoot some ships now. And whereas,
so let's talk about the co-op play. So we've talked about the solo side. Let's talk about the co-op side. The ability to just play with pickup groups.
Yeah.
Right. The problem with that is, I personally feel, communication. It's identification of what people are doing the mission for. Right. So I ended up doing this one hubby mission. No word of a lie. The host of the mission was sat like at the far edge of the map, while our objective was 4 or 5 kilometers away, and he refused to move there. And I was like, can we do the mission, please? Just wouldn't move. Just wouldn't respond to me. So I got out in my Itzel and I got dashed over to the objective. Little did I find out that the enemy ships could see you while you're stealthed, which is bugbear in itself. If you're listening, please fix that. Then, once I had single-handedly completed the objective, I had to fly all the way back. They didn't come any closer. I got on the ship. We killed off the fighters and the cruise ships that we had to do, and then we were able to leave. Except for the pilot was like, no, we're going to go pick up resources. And I'm like, why didn't you say this from the get-go? So there is a huge gap there. And we've said this before with things like Plains of Eidolon or whatever. There should be the ability to state, I am joining this pub group for this reason, right? Maybe DE has more information than we do, and they really don't think that would work. But being able to say, I'm going into the plains to fish, I'm going to Valis to mine, I think would go a long way. But I don't have the information that DE does. I do, however, think it would be suitable for Railjack.
I think that one of the biggest problems we're seeing with Railjack now is that it is very. It's a raid system placed on a public. No, I'm wording this wrong. It's a raid mission system that is placed as a regular public notes type of thing. Let me explain. So what you're seeing is that you have this system, this Railjack, which is very dependent on the interplay of people working together. Just like we saw in Rage, you could not progress beyond like the law of retribution if you didn't have extra people doing the things that they needed to do. If you didn't have the people standing on the paths, if you didn't have the people opening the doors for you to go through. If you didn't have that, you couldn't do it. So if people fucked around, you were screwed. You have that with the Railjack. If you have a pilot that refused to do anything, you're screwed. So, however, instead what raids had, where there was like a few nodes where you had to like have a key, you had to like form a group before you went in, where you had to like go ahead and do it. Railjack presents itself like a second solar system in a sense, where it's like, okay, we have the Earth Proxima, we have this Proxima, we have this Proxima. You just have a bunch of like exterminate missions. Sometimes you blow up a base, you just jump in, you do mission after mission after mission. So what that means is that people go into it way more casually than in a raid, where it's like, I want to do a raid, but they go into it like, oh, I want to farm some things, and oh, I just want to check this out, oh, I just want to stand around and do nothing, which they also do in regular missions. However, in regular missions, you're not dependent on other people, and I think regular missions and raids are a lot more guided as to like what you need to do, in the sense of go to this point, run to that point, run to that point. Railjack is still kind of like, oh, fly around in space, shoot whatever comes around you, and maybe blow up the space. But because of that, because you're so dependent on people, if in a regular mission someone wants to just go out and resource farm, you're like, whatever, man, I'll see you at extraction. If your people, the pilot wants to resource farm, well, you can abort.
Yeah, you're screwed. And it's like the whole reason why they allowed people to leave survival missions independently of each other is for this exact reason. People want to do different things, right? And if you're stuck in a group that has one specific mindset, then what are you supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's nothing you can do.
Well, I want to address one thing which I'm seeing which I'm seeing being pulled up in chat before, and something which has which I have been thinking about a lot as well over the past few days, because I don't think you should take my criticism entirely seriously, in a sense. Like, don't weigh too heavily. Just take it with a grain of salt, because I'm saying this out of the perception of the type of player that I am. Because all of this, a lot of like the introduction, a lot of the how do players play, the way that you can do these missions is like, you can go and look up all the information there is around it. You can go and form your own groups, create a friends list, or even figure out a way to like, hey, maybe I'm going to be hosting. I'm always going to be inside the Railjack piloting it. I'm going to make sure that I do this right. There are ways around it, and the only thing that's limiting you on that is probably the measure of time. But as the player that I am, is I do not have a lot of time on the game. The most I will ever spend playing Warframe consecutively is about 2 hours whenever I'm doing a stream. Outside of that, I just do not have the time to be doing a lot of things around it, because I'm really, really busy. There are so many things that I can't do in my day, which I would really, really want to. So for me, I really love Warframe at this point in time as a game where I jump into and I just do a mission. I just do the things that I need to do. And it's like, you just jump in, you do it. And with Railjack being presented as it is, it's like, maybe this is a me problem. Maybe this is something where it requires a lot of time investment, which could have been mitigated by a little bit of a better introduction, or a little bit of a different system, more geared towards co-op than friends. But it could also be that that's just me. So that's also something where I've been trying to contend with, like, how much do my personal feelings affect the way that I feel about this? But then again, I think this is the first impressions from me, from my perspective as the type of player that I am. So just wanted to note that.
I think it's like really important to realize that this is still early gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, heck, DE may even address all of these concerns now. But what we I think it's safe to say that this is a damn solid foundation.
It is.
But what Railjack needs, Warframe currently does not have in any capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think communication is certainly a step forward. Being able to communicate easily and ready. I mean, the one thing that Europeans have more frequent than a lot of other regions around the world, we have a lot of different languages spoken around here.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah. So, like, you know, you might end up in a game and the people do not speak English.
Mm-hmm.
They do not speak whatever your single language is that you speak. And it's very difficult. It's one of the big reasons why in games like League of Legends, I was a huge campaigner for allow us to set in our profile what languages we speak. Right? I don't know why that's not something in more games, like in Warframe.
Well,
because
the problem with Warframe, see, the thing with Warframe is that you don't. There's a rare chance that you can get to choose the players that you're in a squad with, unless you want to go out of your way and you recruit your own group, which most of the time doesn't really go by checking the player's profile. It's just like hosting mission, and then like let me know if you want to be in, and then people message you and you just click and fight. But it's something which I think doesn't happen the majority of the time. I think that a majority of the time, if I just look at regular Warframe missions, or at least the way that I do it, is I'm like, okay, I need some of credits. I'll just go to this mission on Jupiter, click, and I'll just be thrown in with 3 random people, and I don't see what languages they speak, and I'm not gonna leave because the languages they speak, because I just want to do a mission. And I think it would be helpful for recruiting chat if people want to take that step for recruiting chat. But since this Railjack system is set up in just the star chart way, where it's like everyone can click and just join, it will only help the people that will actually go for the recruiting side of things, and not the people that will just take it as the co-op experience that they've been used to.
So are you agreeing with me or disagreeing with me?
I think that it could be a handy feature, but I don't think that it will solve a lot of problems. Because, well,
no, you're right. It won't solve a lot of problems, but I think it's a simple solution, right? So at least you've made sure that the people you're talking to can be spoken with. You can have a communication.
I mean, once you start doing the recruiting thing, you will see if they respond to you whether they know the language, because you're going to say hosting this mission, and they're going to say invite me. And then you're going to invite them beforehand. So then you already have that communication. So like it could work.
However, if you're just doing a public mission, that's the problem. Microphone. So anyway, regardless of that, another solution that they can introduce is a radial menu. These are preset expressions, right? You know, and one of them is, you know, we need more resources. And you can even specify which resource it is, right? So imagine you go to the engineering bay. You're there. You're going to make some more extinguishing fluid. I don't do the what's called the engineering stuff. I don't know what it's called. Sorry. But, you know, you get that stuff and like you've run out, right? You right click on it and you go request resource. Right? And literally it tells the pilot and anyone it just tells the whole team, we need more of X resource. We need more Copernix. We need more something diodes, you know. I
think visual aids will go a long way, in the sense of like that you're like hating, like go this way, go that way, go this way, go that way. It's like just being able to like just like have like a second gear wheel, as you're saying, just like have the few like meaningful commands just be there, like we're advancing now, we're slowing down, we need a fly team, we need what you're saying. I think that would go a long way. One thing that I would like to a little bit elaborate on when it comes to, because like this is something which I think I need to make really clear, I need to make really clear this. So when I say that I don't have a lot of time when it comes to doing this, it's not that I don't have a lot of overall time, because I would probably play a lot of games, maybe more hours of games than any regular person, any non-gaming person would within a week. The thing is that whenever it comes to playing Warframe, which is something which I mostly do outside of recording times, which recording times for videos are just 2 hours, streaming times are 2 hours. If I want to do anything outside of that, then it is rare and few and far between. But even if I do it, I am very prone to being just called out, having to focus my attention on something else, and the game is entirely secondary to that. So if I join into a public mission, I could just join a public mission and be like, oh, I need to go, and I just abort. I don't care, because like Warframe is secondary at that point. So whenever I do a Railjack mission, you could say, well, you could spend some time doing recruiting and hosting it. I could. However, if I host a mission, or if I join someone's mission, like, I need to either say like, hey, do you want to join my mission? But I could abort at any time because, yeah, I mean, real life. Or, I mean, like, actually, that just entirely defeats the point of recruiting. Same thing with friends. It's like, a lot of my friends that I would play with don't generally have the time to play. And even if they would, it's a really hard time for me to manage with my schedule as to when I can actually separate time off in which I can actually play the game while having it being my primary attention. Where I'm not like, okay, I'm going to have to pop out like right now because something came in between. So that's something which, like, for me is a huge barrier towards the Railjack system, because it's not a raid where it's like, okay, we're going to do a 2-hour raid on stream, or we're going to prepare a raid team. It's kind of like this public matchmaking system, but a public matchmaking system that doesn't really work unless you really dedicate time towards it, where it's like, okay, well, can't you dedicate time towards it? It's like, yeah, well, see, this is something which I have a tough time figuring out, because it's not necessarily that I can't dedicate time towards it, but it's like I'm much more inclined to do regular Warframe missions, because even bounties on the open worlds, I can just pop out, because public co-op missions are fine. But if you do a public co-op mission within Railjack, it's not really fine. So I think
to emphasize what you're saying, right? And I want to jump on what Thyrith is saying in chat. First off, the big thing that is a huge plus to what you're saying is the trials. When the trials were first implemented, there was no matchmaking whatsoever. It would take twice as long to find that 8th player to join you than it would to actually run the trial. Even with people that had never played the trial before, it was harder to find that last person to join you than to actually do the mission itself. One thing that Thyrith has said is there should be a role system within Railjack. I kind of agree with what they're saying. I have a different approach on it. Why can't the game just inform everyone of what anyone is doing? For example, if I'm piloting, then on the squad screen, it shows where I am, right? Just on the normal UI. If you're manning a gun, it will tell me you're manning the gun. If Ral is out in Arkwing, it tells me he's out in Arkwing. If Thyrith is on the engineering stuff, refining stuff, it tells me that. It's just more informative of what is going on, right? I don't think you need to lock people into specific roles, but I think you need to be able to identify what people are doing. Likewise, if no one is actually piloting the ship.
I think that you raise a very interesting point there with like dedicating rules. I think that one of the things from that is I think that listening to you talk about like having a clearer way of seeing what everyone is doing indicates that the main difference I feel between Railjack and everything we've had so far, with the exception of raids, is that you're way more dependable on what other people do within Railjack than in anything else on Warframe. Because if someone fucks around in an open world mission, if they just like go off and start fishing, it's annoying, but whatever, man. It's fine. But if someone takes the helm of the Railjack and just starts spinning it around and spinning it away, then the people that are on the side guns can't do anything because the thing's just spinning around and spinning away. And you can jump into Arkwing, but yeah, like as you said, you can be targeted. You will die. So that amount of dependability, I think that is the main difference between this new system as compared to anything that we've had before, with the exception of raids, which were also plagued with like the matchmaking thing.
Yeah. There was something else just jumped into my head about Railjack.
Before, let me know once you have it, but let me continue on by asking the same question I asked last week to you, and now I'm kind of like posing it to you as also to pose it to me as well. This increased dependability on other players, is that a problem? Or is that a problem?
For minority, yes. Right now, for the majority, right? Because too many people don't know how the system works.
Mm-hmm.
And for the future, with people that don't like playing with others, people that like solidarity, yes, it is a problem still, right? But they have said that they will address it. Let's just hope they address it as well as with playing other people.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I agree. I think that to me, it's a very important factor in the different types of play, because I know that I'm always relying on not very dependable public people, and I know that whenever I play, unless it's on stream, I'm not very dependable either. However, that just means that I'll play less Railjack, which I don't have an issue with. It's just that's the case.
I remember what I was going to say. Taking this from a different direction of communication and UI and things, I do feel that there is a lot of elements to Railjack that are dumbed down, right? I think the 360 no scope turrets is a must-have, right? But the fact is, it's locked behind the second stage of intrinsics for gunnery. But, unless you've gone perusing through every facet of Railjack's features, you're not going to know this, right? I feel that there needs to be some things that are there from the get-go. There's some quality of life stuff that's hidden behind progression, and it kind of shouldn't be.
I mean, when we're talking about quality of life, when you're talking about the gunnery, which is hidden behind like the thing that you have to upgrade, which is kind of hidden behind the menus, I think that there's a lot of quality of life improvements that could be made from simple tutorials and like, hey, let's do your very first Railjack mission with like specters, and like first you man this thing, then you man the gun, and then you like you take your Omni tool and you do these things. And like a lot of people's arguments against this will be saying, oh, you can just look it up, you can just go ahead and research it and put more time into it, which like point taken. But at the same time, I do want my game in principle, this is my principle speaking, to be a self-contained complete product and experience where I don't necessarily have to go out of my way to figure something out. And I think that things like that, pointing out the mod systems behind it, and maybe then having you do this Spectre mission where you get 1 point, and it says like, well, maybe put it on here on the gunnery, and boom, you now have this 360 scope vision because the other one just really, really sucks. You can't really hit something, especially when the Railjack is moving. It's something which I would have really have liked. I think that it would have much improved the game. But seeing the last few updates, I don't think that they're necessarily too concerned by the way that they implement things into the game. They'd rather just have things out and just have people figure out how the hell it works than bringing it to people in a, I don't want to say decent, because that implies like they're not decent, but like decent fashion.
I think there's two things that need to be considered when you have a problem. Is it not two things, one thing that needs to be considered when you have a problem. Do you solve the problem with a technical solution or by teaching around the problem, right? So, for example, I have it at my job all the time. We have a problem where someone raises an issue and the client sets it to the highest severity. So it will wake me up in the middle of the night, right? Do I technically prevent them from being able to raise the highest severity issues? Or do I tell them this is not a high severity issue? You're still able to use your website, just it doesn't look as pretty as you want it to be, but tough shit, right? What's the solution there? So in situations like this, to make it comparable and easy to understand, because that was a bit of a ramble, if you've got this situation where you've got, you must have gunnery rank 2, do you make it so that the 360 no scope feature is there by default? Or do you just let your community turn to everyone and say, make sure you pick up the 360 no scope on gunnery? It's really easy and really important.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a way that Warframe has approached most of its things, and I think that a lot of like as Itzma says here in chat, is like Railjack is not meant for new players, and I think that a point of criticism towards having like DE point out like, oh, make this rank 2 or make it by default, is people would say, well, you can look it up on the wiki, and like if you want to, you can do it, and then like you can just put some time in it, put some effort in it, and point taken. I agree. Like you could do that. I think that Warframe could do better with the integration of things when it comes to the new player experience, when it comes to teaching things. Where I think that right now, Warframe is just a game where if you want to get into its systems, you need to be dedicated towards, I want to play this game and I want to know what this is, so I'm going to go and look this up. It's not a game which easily accepts people that are like, oh, let me explore this and see what it is and turn away. And it's like, that's fine. I think that the game would be better by having less bumps initially when you're trying to warm people up towards the idea or something. But I mean, you don't have to. I do think though that Warframe has always said they wanted to do something like that, because they've always been going on with this never-ending thing called, oh, we're gonna fix the new player experience, but it never worked. And I think that they're not. I mean, like, that's a big thing you have to tackle. I think fine, okay. I mean, you can take some time with like reworking that. But if you're with your newer updates continually doing the same mistake again, like you're probably gonna have to get back to that if that is on your list of things you want to improve. If that's something you don't want to improve, fine, no problem. But again, we saw it with the Kuva liches where people were like, I have no idea what to do. I don't like the Kuva liches because I don't know. It's like, yeah, those are things that could have been avoided. Do they need to be avoided for the general Warframe player base? I don't know the numbers, but most likely for the more veteran players, not, because they're more experienced when it comes to like, oh, Warframe releases something, I'm just going to have to look everything up on the wikis because, yeah, they don't know about it. But then again, like, it doesn't sit right by me, personally, that Warframe relies so much on outside things and not relies on itself to teach people about things or give people reason to do things, just like what we saw with the Plains of Eidolon, where it's like, check out the Plains of Eidolon because you know from the dev streams that Plains of Eidolon was coming, and not because it was introduced with a quest. Railjack, again, there is no story or nodes or anything. There's nothing telling you to do Railjack because something is happening. It's just like, you're doing Railjack because Railjack is a new thing and you want to do Railjack, not because there's necessarily a reason for you to do Railjack. Is that a problem? Do people care? Most likely not, but I personally think that would have been a great point of improvement.
I do feel that there are some issues with Warframe's manner in which it informs people of various different features and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get your own Railjack until you've finished the second dream.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Fine. Right? I can't imagine you board a Railjack until you have your Arcwing, which I believe is Mars.
Yeah, right? It could be.
I'm not. It's wherever Limbo's theorem needs the Railjack. I just can't remember where that is. Anyone listening or in chat, please feel free to comment. Where the heck do you get your Arcwing from? Because I cannot remember they moved it. I think that is a prime point where you can say, you can board other Railjacks and things like that. I mean, it's also difficult because you have to be part of a clan in order to actually do anything Railjack related. Right? Here's something. I want to know how many people watching now are in a clan. I'm going to guess like all of them. Can we put up a poll?
Yep.
Yeah?
I'm on
We're
it.
going to put up a poll asking people whether or not you are a clan. Pretty sure everyone's just going to say yes, but never know.
All right, here we go. I've added in the third option of I'm in a solo clan, meaning if you
I like
if you just made yourself your own clan and you're just alone in it. I think again this comes down to the dependability on the dependability on other players, in the sense of everything that you had to have within a clan so far, you could just go out of your way and build your own clan. And again, I'm not saying that Warframe should be catering to solo players, but right now there's like Railjack poses a greater dependency on other players, and if you have those available, or if you're willing to go out your way to make those people available, to get those people around you, then it's a great, enjoyable system. But if that's not something that you like to do, whether that's something you're not able to do because of your time constraints or whatever, or if that's something that you don't even like, that's not within you to do because you don't really want to like talk to people, you just like to play games, but you're not really ready to like go and talk to strangers on the internet, then that's and that might be a big bar.
So, question to you. We're trying to accommodate, like, I don't think that not necessarily doing the NPC thing, the solo play, is the worst idea, because if people are tired and fed up of trying to do it with puppies, then at least they're able to go down that NPC route. But how long is it all right for DE to hold off releasing that NPC experience?
Well,
how long can we go without it?
I think the first question before we answer that should be, should solo play be accommodated? So, like, let's just put Railjack aside and take a more extreme example, raids. Should a raid be soloable in either Warframe or World of Warcraft or whatever game you're imagining? Should it be a possibility? Even if it takes you more effort, should it be a possibility for you to do? Do you think so?
I think it should. I think there should be options. I think there should be choices. Right? You can choose to do this thing, but it will take you 5 times longer. But it's a choice that you can choose to make. Right? But if there's no choice there at all, then there's no luxury to do that. There was one of the big things with Trials is you could do it with 4 players, but you had to have at least 4. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that. Yeah, even if like I don't think that a mission should be dumped down for like solo play. It's just like, here it is, but everything should be doable. Just like in a regular mission where you have the friendship doors, you can just unlock them by yourself. It shouldn't be like, oh, you can only unlock this with 2 players. Well, tough luck. You're just by yourself now. So things should be doable. And I think that with raids, we have the doors with, like, you needed 4 players at least. I think it should be soloable. So that it will be just as hard, but even harder because you're just by yourself instead of with 8 people, but fine. I think that with Railjack, because of the different systems, it is the different things that you need to take care of, it is pretty hard, like very, very hard to do it solo unless you do Xani's tactic of like throwing it in an asteroid and then arc-winging your way around. But when you're trying to do Railjack itself, it's really tough. I think that, yeah, those are the two.
So
yeah, go ahead.
So let's ask another question of my questions. So first off, the results. I think it's 75% yes, 25% only in a solo.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that again, those are interesting. The next thing I want to ask people is if DE collaborated with Discord, right, or TeamSpeak or Mumble. If DE collaborated with Discord and allowed you to jump into a squad group on whatever chat program you want, be able to communicate to them easily, would you do it? So the idea is I'm going into a pubby mission, right? I've got a pubby Railjack or a pubby Lich Farm or pubby whatever. Right? Pubby fishing on the plains. But it gives you the option, press F1 or F2 to jump into a Discord chat, right? And if you press yes,
how much different would that be from the current in-game chat system, voice chat system that we already have?
Oh, the current in-game voice chat system is all.
Yeah, but like they have it and they could improve it. It's like I think that the option is already available if people want to use it. It's just kind of bad. So
it's dependent. Like, would you rather people? I mean, the thing is, it's already there, but people either don't know it's there or people prefer a dedicated platform for voice chat. They always have done. People have put voice chat in various different games.
I think it's like you have the thing in game available, and you can open up Discord if you want to do it with your friends. Like you could, but then again, like would it just like it would just strictly be for public play because we're friends. If you're already in Discord and you want to do it with friends, you just do it on Discord right now. And then again, like, do you really want to connect everything together? It's like I don't know. Like I think it's like we've already. There is something available. It could be improved. I see your point. It could be very much improved. But I think it's like a very niche audience that will join in, that will do it. I think
personally, I think I would rather join into the Discord thing than try to use the in-game chat thing. And I'd be game for trying the Discord.
I can see that.
I
think one thing someone put up in chat just a moment ago. Arthur says, if, in my opinion, DE will teach us everything, then people have no reason to communicate. There needs to be a reason to chat or talk to the community. That's the point where I disagree on. Because I think, let me preface this by saying that I think I've met a great deal of people, amazing people within the Warframe community. I think it's a plus that we're in an online game where we can talk to other people, where we can meet other people, where we can create friends lists. But I don't think that it's, for me, a requirement of this type of game that I need to talk to other people, that I need to meet other people, and I don't want a game to force me to. Because if I play something like Destiny 2, I'm not actively going out in their chat and being like, anyone want to join me? Let's meet up with other people. Let's create a clan together. It's like, the way I play these games currently is that I just play the game for that because I want to experience what that game brings to me. And if it involves public play, that's fine. But I'm not looking to befriend or talk to every single one of these people within the game because I'm already, while I'm streaming, talking to the people in my stream. So I don't want to do that like double thing where like, oh, I'm chatting with my region chat right now. I'm also doing a stream. It's like, yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't work for my climate anymore. I did have that a couple of years ago where I love to go out and meet new people and invite people to the clan and get to know them. Which I think is great that it offers that as a platform, but I don't think that's a requirement of the game because that should be a requirement of the game because, I mean, that's not what, well, I think like it's a weak argument that I'm saying like that's not what I'm personally looking for, but I think that's not what I'm personally looking for, and I think there's a lot of players that are like me that play the game like that, unless I'm making a bad argument, and then in which case call me out on that.
No, I think you have a valid point. I think that there are people with different mindsets and things. Like, yeah, personally, I would prefer to talk to people and get stuff happening. I mean, yeah, okay, fine. If I'm streaming, which I never do, then sure, I can completely appreciate not wanting to have random people join me, right, while I'm streaming. But if I'm just trying to experience the game, like I enjoy just talking to I enjoy asking people, like new players, what do they think of the game, right? I enjoy, one of the first questions I always ask people, Loz more particularly, is what was your favorite Warframe event? Who's your favorite Warframe? Things like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I do strongly feel that it's important to have that venue of being able to avenue.
I think it's important. I think it's important to have that avenue. I think like a Warframe has it, and I think it's great that it is there. But I don't think that it should be made into a requirement. And I'm not saying it should like. Sure, recruiting chat. Like, if you want to do a raid, you need to recruit people. I think that's a fine requirement. No problem. Like, you kind of need to interact with people if you want to set up a raid. But I don't think that that it should necessarily be where it's like, we don't do tutorials because if you want to know about our game, you have to talk to people. It's like, no. It's like, I think it's a bit of a weak excuse for you to not make a tutorial. And, yeah, it's like it's a great option that like the guides at Lotus, they're gone now, but that they were here. But I don't think I thought it was a largely band-aid solution, something like that.
I personally don't think that there is. I think the best teacher is life experience. Being able to fix problems is better off doing than being able to, answer an exam, right? This might sound a little out of scope, but the whole point of DE creating a tutorial, though I'm not going to say no, I can appreciate them not doing, because it is a lot of work to create the resources for something that people are going to experience once. A la Vor's Prize. I would love to run Vor's Prize again, but the only way to do that is to create a new account. So I can personally appreciate them not building good tutorial content. I mean, I know plenty of YouTubers that have complained profusely over the fact that they've just released a video and then they've changed it. They've made my video pointless. Now they're making me out to be a liar. How could they do this? I just like this. Sorry. But at the same time, people shouldn't have to go outside of the medium to find out how to play the damn game.
Yeah. No, I think if you're thinking about making a quest, an entire cinematic quest, like Force Prize for every single tutorial thing, that would be a long way. Like no, that's way too much effort. However, I personally disagree in the sense of, I think that a tutorial or way to understand the game is a requirement of game development. Like, you can't.
I got an idea.
Go ahead.
Mastery tests. You have to do a mastery test or something similar before you get your Railjack. So you can start building the Railjack, right? But then you get a test to focus on the various different elements, right? So one test could be fly the Railjack, and you have to fly it through in like an asteroid or something. Again, while it's still building. And you can repeat these tests in the Samaris room, right? Then you could have one which is about how to fire the things. You could build it up so that you get the different intrinsics as you go along, just so you can see the difference. Dude, you are a genius. I can't believe you came up with such a good idea.
I think that could work really great. Yeah. I mean, I can even settle with something like Force Prize for something like Railjack, where it's like, does Force Prize do a great job of introducing people to things? No, not really. Like, the mod system is still kind of really unexplained. But, like, I'm fine with that, because at least it teaches me the basics of, like, okay, you have 3 weapons, which you can swap around. You walk to this objective, you hack this thing, and like you just walk up to this hacking thing, you hack it. And they did a way different tutorial when we started. It was just a white space, like, okay, shoot this grenadier with this gun. Now swap to the other gun. Shoot this grenadier with this gun. Now use your melee. Use it on the grenadier. Hack this thing. I think that especially with like something like the Omni tool, that would be really important. Where it's like, okay, someone is on fire. Go to so like just like text, go to your gear wheel and select the Omni tool and point it at it. Because the first few missions that I did the Railjack, my playthrough will be out soon. I was just standing at the fire, like, okay, this thing is on fire. It's still on fire. What are you doing? And then the mission failed, and then Sai was like, use activating fire extinguishers. I was like, dude, you've been babbling on about shit the entire time. Use the fire extinguishers when there's fire. Why are you using those now? I don't know what you're doing. So yeah, like, I think that test would be a great idea. Or something like Force Sprays. Like even a bad tutorial is still something where it's like, these are the basics, the rest you figure out. Like, I don't need to know every single thing of the mods. I'm just like, okay, here you have mods. Here you have this, figure it out.
Yeah, I think the mods thing. Realistically, I think the mods thing you could potentially leave out.
Yeah,
it is literally just knowing how to pilot the thing, how to shoot the thing, how to board other ships.
Yeah,
right. And I think if they were to break it down into multiple parts as a tutorial system, it could go one hell of a long way.
So, I want to offer you a thought, and everyone in chat here as well, everyone listening here as well. So, do you think that Warframe, in their old to recent updates, most of their updates, has very little emphasis on introducing or integrating their updates or their content in an accessible way, because the Warframe player base, if they are dedicated to be playing at the time that content releases, may that be Plains of Eidolon or may that be Railjack, even more so, they've already gone past the first speed bump of just the new player experience. So if they've gone over that, they're much more likely to also find their way over that of the new update than any other type of player. So because they've had a really bad introduction experience at the start of the game, they can deal with like a lesser integration that they don't have to worry about it because people will play it anyways. Kind of what I'm asking. Do you think that could play a part?
Sorry, I'm confused by the question. What?
So the question is, do you think that Warframe is not necessarily putting the emphasis on the introduction of their quest or the implementation of their new updates? Or is Warframe not as focused on their... Actually, let me reword this. Has the implementation of Warframe's update a very low priority because Warframe knows that players that are playing at the point that an update comes out and might be playing that update have already gone past the new player experience, which is pretty jank, so they already know how to get over it and they'll play it anyway.
In all honesty, I don't know. I would agree with you for probably Railjack and what's the Jupiter update and things like that, but I wouldn't agree Plains of Eidolon and Orb Valis. I feel that those were really targeted heavily at the new player experience. You know, come join the game, come experience this new open world environment. I remember watching Markiplier play play Orb Valis for the first time, and he loved it, right? But he had no idea what was going on. And I think that integration is something that you're highlighting here. Like, you know, did they glaze over it because, you know, a new player should have already gotten over this jank? I don't think in those instances, no, they should have put in proper integration. Things like, you know, Baby Tenno's first Syndicate.
Yeah.
Things like that. But with things like Railjack, with the Jupiter rework, with the Ropa-Dopa list, I think that, yes, I think that they avoid I think they go for the janky integration, the rough road, because people are used to this shit. Right? Because people have the mindset of getting over it.
Yeah. No, I think I agree. I think so too, because If I look at a couple of people here in chat, and I'm going to highlight Sekimus here, who just said that he said, I watch things play with people. I have zero issue with integration. Like, I think that you're an example of one of those players who doesn't care about the integration because you're already so far in the game. You have people around you that play the game. You already are familiar with going over these things, so you don't care because it's like, well, I know where the Warframe wiki is. I know where my friends are. I know where the people are that I play with, so we can figure it out.
I disagree on that. Unless you're talking about you, Zachimus, and not you, me. Which?
I was just Zachimus as an example here, but like, right. Go ahead for you. Me?
For me personally, I prefer to go in blind. Right? I prefer to learn stuff for myself. Yesterday, I found out I was using the boost on my Railjack wrong. I was like supposed to weirdly double tap the thing, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that there were 2 speeds on this thing. So it's I like learning this stuff for myself. Right? I like figuring this stuff out, or having someone that's there personally with me to actually discuss things, like being able to upgrade the grid on my avionics as well as the actual avionics itself. I think I prefer to have the first-hand experience rather than going out of my way to find a resource that tells me how to do it. I say this, I'm a bloody developer. The first thing I do is fucking Google it. Yeah. So, it's like it's different. It's a different one. I prefer not to be told, but to explore.
No, I very much agree. And it's like, I can see how some people may be like, well, you've been playing this game for 6 years. Can you call yourself a Warframe veteran player? Which I don't tend to do, but how can you call yourself a Warframe long player if you're not willing to like explore this via the wiki and try to reach out to people to learn about this? It's like, well, I used to do that years ago. Maybe things, well, for sure things have changed. I've changed as a person. I know that. I know that my daily commitments have changed, and I know that also my interests and the things that I find important in the game have changed as well. And one of those things is like, I've been playing a lot of self-contained games like The Outer Worlds. I just finished that playthrough, which will be out soon when I edit down these videos. But like, I really enjoy, I've really come to appreciate what a well-structured, put-together game feels like. And these are things like what we had with the Kufa Liches, where there was no clue as to where to go. It's just like, well, you just go play the game. Just figure it out where Kufa Lich will drop. Was something where like I run into, and it's like, I think it's kind of important to me, but that's to me. So yeah, I think that we've talked about the integration right now for a bit, which is kind of what we've come to expect from Warframe. Whether you think that's a problem or not, I think that we talked about the lacking in co-op for a public co-op for a good communication system where you can tell people clearly, regardless of the language that they speak, what needs to be done because you're more reliable of other people, and the complete lack of solo support for the Railjack update, which means that it's best to be played with friends at the moment. And because you're more relying on people than in the other part, than the rest of the game, it feels different. Anything else at Railjack that you want to touch on?
I think the big thing is, for all its, I wouldn't say faults, or all the points that we're raising, Railjack is a good foundation. And quoting Total Biscuit, Warframe is the ruins of a castle built on the ruins of a castle built on the castle. Railjack truly shows that Warframe has more potential to be more... Actually, to be fair, it shows that most games can be broadened beyond what they originally were to be something new and interesting when using the same engine, right? When using, reinvigorated part. But the important thing to realize is that this is in no way, shape, or form gonna be the final solution to the product, right? We are going to get more. We should bloody well get more. If you have strong feelings towards something, you should voice them towards DE. Go on Reddit, go on the forums, probably not Twitter. Tell DE what you think should be addressed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make it clear to them. I think this should be addressed. I think there should be a way to identify what each player is doing at any one time. I think the 360 no scope for gunnery should be there by default. I think resource gathering should be made clearer. Like, one problem I personally have is being able to see where the fuckers are, right? I just can't see them unless, like, I'm on top of them. You know, get your points, make them clear, and present them in constructive feedback to DE. Right? There are a lot of people that get frustrated but don't say anything. And there's plenty of people that think, oh, this is an amazing update. I love this so much. Oh, I'm not going to tell DE at all.
Yeah, well, you will always have that because, I mean, it's focal. You always have a focal minority because most of the people that watch, most of the people that consume things will not like go out of the way to talk about it. And that may be because of various reasons. But yeah, if you want things to change, speak up.
You gotta say something.
So yeah, I think that but yeah, my main some of my main things with this update were the integration and like the commands missing, like the fact that like you're so reliant on the public co-op random players if you're not playing with friends, and at that point, if no one knows what to do, which especially happens in the launch days when things are not clearly explained, it's just a bit of a mess, and you're like, okay, right, which is a bit, I don't know, let me see, there's one thing which I don't know whether this is necessarily an important point. I don't necessarily know what this point is, but I want to explore it with you, and maybe I'm onto something, maybe I'm not onto something. So one thing when you were talking about that this is a platform for Warframe to grow on, like Railjack is a good foundation to grow on, I think that there is a key difference, a key point where the difference in people's opinions can be discovered, where it's like you might look at this and say, this, as flawed as it is, it's a great foundation from which they can build onwards. And the meaning of Railjack is within the new war, which is dependent on Railjack, and we're gonna explore the problems with it, and that will make it better. But the foundation is good. And someone, maybe I, will look at it and say, I'm looking at what we have right now. What does Warframe offer right now? What is this game as the experience right now? And if I'll experience it at this moment, as the game is being presented to me, I'm lacking these things. These are shortcomings. I think that is that might be a difference in perspectives towards something where people might explain a different set of opinions, don't you think?
No, I agree entirely. I think it's difficult to see what could potentially be compared to what is in front of them right now, right? For example, when the settlers of America, when people settled on America, they didn't envision New York City. They just envisioned this is somewhere that we could call home. This is something we develop, right? You know, I've worked on projects that you're privy to, that, you know, has grown, right? Probably not at the rate I would like it to, but it's grown into a useful tool, right? Likewise, you know, Warframe has gone from a single tile set, which was the Corpus ship tile set, with a single faction, which was the Grineer faction, that had a single weapon, which was the Burston, with a talent tree system and grenades and no abilities, no parkour whatsoever, into this huge, I wouldn't say behemoth, but it's bigger than a lot of other games.
Yeah.
Right? You know, what? Still, Destiny, why can't I fly the ship while in the loading screen? Why can't I, I always want to do it. Nope, can't do it, right? Just the thing.
I think that that's definitely an important thing. I think that the New York reference metaphor is really a good one, because a city is never really done, and I think that we see that with Warframe as well. And I think that we might be looking at like some complications when it comes to like the Railjack update, which kind of implies that this is a product we're shipping. It's like we're shipping the Railjack update, which is a completed product. It's like just like a game adds DLC, where it's like, here you go, here's a brand new DLC map or content or like a quest, and it's like, go play it because this is a completed thing. With Warframe, it's more like, here is a new thing that we're building, but we're still building it. And I think that that might be an important difference to be aware of when looking at this. Because one of the things which I came across as well when I was playing through this is that the Railjack update itself, we did have that one little thing with the with Kiddo, with the man in the wool. And
okay. I want to derail you for 2 seconds.
Go ahead.
Right. Okay, this is another instance of, hey, look, there's only one Tenno out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand for me. How many fingers do you have?
5.
How many digits? You have 5 digits on your hand, right? How many digits were in the pod?
I don't know. I forgot.
There's one. It was just one digit. One big finger, right? How many players of Warframe are there?
Over 50 million or so.
There's over 50 million fingers in the universe. So either this entity has the ability to instantly regrow fingers, we're all in different dimensions, pocket dimensions linked together, or yet again, DE is not considering that there are other players in the world.
I mean, I think like it's a storytelling thing. They're not clear about what they want. It's like, here we go, a single player centric story about introducing a multiplayer required thing. Right. Okay. Interesting. I personally thought that when I said that I'm missing some of the meaning behind why am I doing Railjack missions, in the sense of I was like thinking about myself, am I being too petty here? Because like when Warframe launched, it didn't have cinematic quests. It didn't really have anything. So it's like, yeah, so did it really have like anything, any meaning? But at the same time, at that point, you did have bosses. So like the idea was, the plot point was, you just go to a boss, you kill it, and then you go to another planet, you go to a boss, you kill it. And here, if you go in Free Flight, that's pointless. There's nothing in Free Flight. But there's just some nodes you're attacking, and it's not like, the regular missions still have like, you need to capture this intelligence guy, or you need to rescue this person of interest. Here it's like, you're in space and there's Grenier, shoot this number and blow up this base. No idea why we're doing it. Where I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but maybe the meaning comes from the introduction of Railjack, and then we get this one short cinematic where it's like, oh my god, there's this kiddo, and it's gone. Okay. And it's like, I think that if I'm looking at it as like a product that's being shipped right now, if I look at a Railjack update right now, it's like, okay, well, that didn't bring much to the table, did it? If you're looking at it as like a ongoing process that will probably tie into like the new war, and then the new war will give that meaning. But if you're looking at it as the present state as it is, it's very shallow. And I don't know yeah, go ahead.
I think one of the important things is to realize why people play anything, right? Do people play World of Warcraft for the plot? For the most part, no, which is sad. You know, do people play Counter-Strike for the plot? What plot? Do people play Destiny 2 for the plot? God, no, right? It's, there are so many things that people play X, Y, or Z for. And I think with Warframe is no different from any other game. You know, people play for the experience. As I said, when I first got on my Railjack, I was like a pig in mud, right? I was so happy. I was twirling around. Like, I had people turn to me and say, oh my God, it's the giant space whale eating the resources. It was fun, right? But with Warframe, I really feel that people play for the experience. They enjoy playing it for the gameplay experience, not for the goal that doesn't exist. Right? Diablo 3. Why am I constantly... Well, I stopped playing Diablo 3. But, why do people constantly play Diablo 3? It's like, you've killed Diablo a bajillion times. Like, the goal isn't changing. So, I think for a lot of stuff with Warframe, often we want there to be an end goal, but there just isn't. There's no directive. It is just go out, do shit. I do not have a problem with that.
Yeah, I think it depends on the way you look at it. If you look at it from a gameplay element, then like a game objective element, it's like if that is the appeal of the game, then if there is a lesser focus or a very scarce amount of story or meaning or reason given to this update, it's like, whatever, man, it's fine. If you look at it from a personal point of view, I agree with Adris in chat, who says the story is keeping me interested in Warframe. It's what kept me into the game as well, and maybe even now is even more important to me. Because that's my personal point of view. I think that I've played the Warframe game loop so much. I've been playing it for seven years almost. It's like what's keeping me interested is seeing where this thing goes, and the way that it's being presented. And that's just a personal thing. And it's like, if they don't do it well, there are other games out there.
One thing I would genuinely love, and no game has thus far done this, is implement some variation of Star Trek in their game. So you are someone piloting a ship or commanding a ship or fixing the engine of a ship, and you've got to go down to a planet. You've got to fix up the planet. You've got to do some diplomacy, right? Why isn't there a mission where you've got to fly people point A to point B, but there's a spy among them? One of them has killed someone, and you have to find out who before you get to your destination. It's like there's nothing like that in so many games that there is an opportunity to do that kind of thing. It just doesn't happen. Warframe thus far has the biggest potential do something like that, and I kind of hope they do.
I mean, I wonder, because I personally, I don't know whether this comes with age or something, because I really enjoy games like Warframe, and I really enjoyed them way more when I started out and was like looking for them as just like thousands of hours into, but now like I started to notice with Destiny that if I'm doing Destiny quests, I figured out, okay, so the only way that we're going to be interacting with there's a spy here, or there's this creature, or like this, there's this big problem. The only way you interact with them is like discover what's going on. Is like you shoot at it. That's the only way you interact with these things. It's like, oh my god, a really complex thing just happened. Just go in, and like the way to solve it is just shoot down the minions and then shoot down a boss, and then you've done it. Like that's the only way you interact with it. And I think Warframe is not much different. Like sometimes you hack, but most things just come down to you shoot at it, it dies, you win. That's it. And it's like, I think that when it comes to a game that might break the mold, Warframe might be it. But would it? Because, like, again, as we were talking about, like, I would really appreciate a better story and implementation and something like that at least. But, like, it's like, that's not what the game is focused on. So I can get that's not in there. If Warframe were to put it in, and they were to put it in for only, like, a small thing in the game, it's like, would it really make sense for it to be in the game? Like, would people actually that are interested in it go to play Warframe for that? I don't know.
Who knows, man? Yeah, it's everyone is different. Everyone perceives everything as differently. It's people have different desires, wants. Anything could lead to anything else. Wow, this is just sounding so vague and non-committal.
Anything could happen. No.
Yeah. when we're part.
When you're in your imagination. So yeah, where do you hope the next steps of Railjack are going to be? What do you hope that from like what we have right now? What do you hope will come after this? Well, right now.
I want fucking no war. I want a lot of quality of life improvements. I want new mission types. I want new factions. I want to see like a big infested thing. Like, you have to fly into this giant infested creature thing, and you have to like rupture some, I don't know, sacks or something, cause it to sort of like hibernate in space. Or I want to be able to do stuff like that. I want to, yeah, like I want more expansion to Railjack. Heck, why can't we have 8-player Railjack? Why can't there be 2 Railjacks at once? Right? Why are we living? Like I'd like to see that. I think that the Switch, maybe in particular, would struggle to do 8-player content.
Yeah,
but I'd certainly like to see it try.
I would love to too. Actually, speaking of the 8-player content here, I remember that over the 1.5 years that they've been announcing Railjack and been working on it, a lot of people speculated that this might be an alternative to Rage, which were removed. Do you think that this comes close to being an alternative to Rage? Do you think that this will satisfy people that were missing the raids, or completely not?
No. That is my opinion. I could be wrong. I think that this is not in the same lines as the Trials. The Trials were very puzzle orientated. So, like, being able to count in Grenier, being able to identify how to do X, Y, or Z, wasn't about, shooting stuff. It was about working out what you had to do to open up the door.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's in. It has the potential if you were to say, let's take 2 Railjacks and we're doing this big mission, or the Railjack is part of a raid. It could be, because it does require cooperation, but right now I don't think it's anywhere close to being that at all.
I think Squad Link, that has a lot of potential for raid, or for trials and things like that. But they seriously need to make it so that Squad Link is not a I'm available to do Squad Link, and more a there's a Railjack near you that needs assistance. If you help them out doing this secondary objective, you'll get bonus MacGuffin.
Do you think that should actually like work that way, or should it just be like simulated that way, in the sense of people, because like you would have to find an active squad at the same time that is willing to do a secondary objective. And if they're not willing to do it, well, you're screwed, or you're constantly going to have to ping different missions, being like, oh, if you guys don't want to do it, do you guys want to do it? Do you guys want to do it? And isn't that then easier to be like, okay, we're just going to give a random set of like instances, matchmaking instances, the opportunity to do a secondary mission. If they complete it, then we're going to give these random sets of Railjack instances the ability to do it because that random team did it. And if you're doing it with friends, you can actually like support each other, because you can send it, like you can have that connect with friends. But if you're doing it in public, it's not necessarily lifetime connecting, or because like, yeah, I don't know.
I think the important thing about Squad Link is what potential avenues unveils. Right. So like, say for example, you aren't able to access a certain part of Xenogelion because it is getting heavily shielded by a relay station on the plains of Eidolon, right? So you then say, right, I need someone's help to do this. It will then ping people, right, until you get a bite, see who is willing to do it. And maybe it's a simple case of, Cephalon Sai goes, we have a relay. They are, we have off-site operatives or something like this, and they're going to go ahead and actually destroy this shield relay or some shenanigans like this. But Sai will, instigate the communication between both teams, right? So Sai will tell your team, yes, they are currently doing it. Yes, they or they've abandoned it. They're taking too long. It will keep you informed of what's going on between both teams, right? Yeah, that's the best way.
I really do wonder though, like, what the added benefit is for this being like in real lifetime, in the sense of, it sounds like a lot of work, and like again, it's like a lot of reliance on other players, which is like, if like I think if you portray this in the perfect scenario where it's like we're here doing like we're here with 8 friends, and like we're all on Discord, and this squad is like doing random missions, and we're doing like Railjack, and it's like, oh hey guys, you're in a mission, we need some help, and they're like, oh yeah, we can do it, and like, oh yay, we destroyed it together. It's like, that's an ideal picture, but I think that most of the time doesn't happen, and this growing reliance on other people, which is a very unknown variable for the success rate of your mission, or to be able to even do the mission, is something which I think is an interesting turn for Warframe. I think it's maybe a shift as radical as the Tenno was, in the way that it might attract people, which will really appreciate being dependent on other players, and it might deter people, which back when the Tenno came around, people were entirely not keen on having like this kid be there instead of you being the Warframe, and they went away from the game for because of that. And maybe it will deter people that don't appreciate a required reliance on other people, where it seems to be shifting more towards to with this set.
I think realistically it needs to be reward driven, right? You can't expect anyone to do anything if it is a harder task to do, right? For example, I do the job I do because my company is willing to pay me the money to do it, right? Otherwise I wouldn't do it. Yeah. Likewise, if I'm going to do a secondary objective, I better be rewarded for it. Otherwise I'm not going to do it, right? You're asking me to spend extra time to do this mission, to slow down. Otherwise, or I could just finish my mission, get out of there, and get the same reward. You have to bait the trap. You can't expect people to do it for nothing.
Well, that's very important. Right? But point 2 is, if I go on PC, I generally find a public squad in like any random mission. But if I go on something like the PlayStation or the Xbox One, I haven't tried my Switch yet, but mostly on the consoles, if you go into any random mission, which isn't a sortie or an alert or any specifically marked mission which people are told to do, a lot of times it's really hard to find a public squad because people aren't necessarily doing random missions. So either this mission would have to be flagged as like an alert being like, this is a Railjack support mission, you might get a secondary objective here. But otherwise, there might be the real possibility that there are just not enough players doing this random mission to support the demand from the Railjack.
So one thing I will say is that this random secondary objective has to happen in any mission. Right? Not just so like if I'm currently doing something on Europa, right? It should happen on Europa. It should be able to happen on any tile I'm on, not just the Plains of Eidolon, right? Not just Orbaz, because then it will just crash and burn because so few people are in those areas now, right? You shouldn't drive traffic to the mission. I completely 100% agree with you. But if you're able to incentivize people. Oh, look, you're in this mission. Michel needs you to hit the switch over there. You hit the switch over there, I'll give you a nice shiny coin. It's right there. You just do that. You're already in this mission.
Well, I'm wondering when it comes to like if your player base, like you need to have enough people to cover for it. And it needs to be rare enough for people to want to jump on it, because if you have too many Railjacks, like if 2/3 of the player base are doing Railjacks and 1/3 is like also new players that can't do this, or people that like, if you get 2 times this secondary objective in a row, like you might be like, I don't care, because how many times do you still do like the sabotage caches that give you an extra reward? Like I always skip them because I don't care.
Nightwave tells me to do them, but I think you have got a really good point. I think that this Simlink thing
Mhm.
needs to be across like platform.
Ooh.
So if you're playing PlayStation 4, you need someone to do this thing. You should be able to reach out to every platform. You know, let's increase the player base to as many people as possible. So, you know, if PC is the biggest driving platform for Warframe, then let's not push out, like, because it's the same with Oceania and things like that. You know, I keep hearing that Oceania on PC is quote unquote dead, right? So, you know, why not have it that you could talk to other people in other regions on other platforms? You're not playing with them specifically, you're just doing a secondary objective. You know?
No.
It could work.
I mean, if that would take the first step towards like cross saves and cross play something as well, like I'd be down.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything else you want to add onto the Railjack topic?
No, just to reiterate that it's a very good foundation. It's lacking, but given the right incentive from the player base, it can go a long, long way.
Good.
We take questions from the audience while you tell us your opinion. Do people in the audience want to get their questions ready for us? Yeah. What's your opinion?
Yeah, if you guys want to post any questions relating to Warframe, relating to the Railjack topic, maybe relating to none of that, just any questions, we'll be taking questions in like a couple of seconds, so feel free to post your questions in chat if you're watching this live. I agree. I think that Railjack, taken as a foundation for a future potential, is something which looks promising. If we take the Railjack update as a current snapshot, I think it is lacking. I also think that it is a clearly different system from the main game in the sense of the reliance or the dependence on other players, and to what extent that will attract or deter players is to be seen. So it's something which looks like a promising thing, but we will have to see. I think.
Yep.
So yeah, let's see if there are any questions here in chat. Let's see. Fasfaska asks, question: what is more dominant in Railjack missions? What is more dominant in Railjack missions, especially on Saturn and Fail? If you've gone there, do people just use Arcwing or the Railjack itself?
It's a mix. Like, it really depends. If you can make your Railjack really big and beefy, then Railjack is like just freaking hands down awesome. Like, you get out of an arc, it's like you get out in Arcwing and then you just completely face racked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also see someone saying Flame Flashes, Arcwing and Misha is a must. That's an interesting one, because first the Itza was like very popular because of its blink. Now I'm seeing more and more people say that Amisha is the best Arcwing. Do you see a potential situation where Amisha is going to be the most played Arcwing, and we might see like a nerf or a change in Arcwings because only people are playing Amishas?
No, I think we'd start to see a buff, because too many Arcwing, second you get out of your Railjack, they're just dead. They just get blown out of the air. I'm like, but you're not even aiming at me. It's like, yeah, but we still killed you.
Yeah, that's a pretty big thing. I've had it happen a couple of times. Francesca also asks, how do you feel about the 0.5 drop chance for battle avionics?
Just playing the game. I'm just going to play. I'm going to play. If I get them, I get them. If I don't, then I'll probably just trade them. They're tradable? Yeah. I don't know if they're tradable.
I don't know either. Arteria asks, what does Elytron need to be able to compete then with the Amisha?
Bigger nukes.
Yeah,
actually no. I mean, one thing I do dislike about the new Arcwing is for Railjack is the fact that the the arc guns, they're no longer hit scan, they're projectile based. I really don't like that. It's
Yeah.
just like, like they're so slow compared to the Railjack guns, and it's just like, oof.
Arcwing is already kind of at a disadvantage, I feel, in that battlefield,
Yeah.
and
And now instead of, it's already started on a back leg, and now it's taken a step backwards, and it's just like, no.
Yannick asks, is it worth at the moment to come back to Warframe after you've been off from the game for over a year? If yes, do tell the reason. I think if you have people that you can play with, yeah.
So no, let's think about it. Like, what have they missed this year?
I mean,
So obviously there's been Railjack, right? They've missed
Kufa
the
Liches.
Exploiter fight. Yeah, Kuva Liches.
Mm-hmm.
The whole of what's the name of the damn
Grow below
thing?
list. Jupiter.
Yep, the Jupiter rework. Changes to arbitrations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in coming back, go for it. But if you're like, I'm going to wait a bit longer, I'm not going to fault you for that either. It's entirely up to you. It depends on how you're going to enjoy it. If you just want to binge through it, then Christmas is probably the best time to do
it. I think it also depends on the reason why you kind of put it down. If it was because like the general gameplay was you kind of were done with it, and now you see Railjack and like, I would like to try Railjack. I would say it is worth coming back to with friends or people in your clan that you know, because then you can just like join their Railjack. They can give you some idea of what you're doing. I think Railjack is not really a system that's very friendly to like, oh, I'm returning, I have no idea what I'm doing, let me check this out, and you're in a squad where you have no idea what you're doing. And if you want to build your own Railjack, that's going to cost you a week. So in that sense, yeah, that depends. But yeah, it really depends on like what you want to do, what you expect from returning. Let's see. Nvidia asks, best pilot ever Xeno. Have you figured out how to get lost in the torpedo tube and how to make him fire himself out of it?
Okay, so funny story. Loz refuses to get gunnery? I think it's gunnery rank 4, so he cannot be put in the torpedo tube. I am in collaboration with DE to get into his account. No, I'm joking. I'm making a complete joke of this. This is not a real thing. But yeah, he refuses to get into the torpedo tube. He wants to spoil my fun. I think he discovered that originally I was planning on naming my Railjack the Lozpedo Tube.
Yeah, we actually, why don't you go ahead and make a forum topic out of that, saying like,
yeah,
I want to be able to fire off players against their will. I really like the idea which we came up with yesterday, that you know how you have like the stealth command if you walk behind enemies, that you have that same thing, but then you can grab players, like you walk behind them and you grab them, you pick them up and you stuff them in and you fire. I think that would be great. That would also be great for like pilots if your pilot is just someone that can't fly anywhere. You just pick them up, you fire them in the torpedo tube, and you just take the Railjack and you steer it back. That surely won't cause any problems with people trying to troll you. I don't foresee any problems with that. So yeah, the Red Fox asks, what would you like to see being added in the game and why?
Player-generated quests. They talked about this, the same, oh god, was it Gamescom press conference that they announced Railjack in, and they actually said that they were investigating doing player-generated quests. They never saw through with it, I think mostly because it would be too difficult to do. They've always commented about the questing system being kind of jank in the game engine, but that is something I'd really love, because I just love to have more quests in the game, and maybe DE has to approve them or whatever, but still, just being able to help create the universe's lore would go a long way for me.
So do you mean as in quests as in like the cinematic types of quests, or do you mean like the mission building system that they showed off where like clan leaders were able to like create their mission systems, like this is a tile set and like you can go and play in it?
The latter. So I think cinematic quests should be exclusively for DE to do. If they want to take the quest that you created and expand upon it to be something be something more, a cinematic quest, and they have the right to do that. But for example, like a player would not be able to create an Ordis quest, right? But I think a player should be able to create a Maru quest or a Paladino quest or a Cressatal quest, right? They are minor characters, right? Maybe it's, they can introduce new characters that may be voiceless, they're just text or whatever. You get the idea.
I think personally that like quests might be a step too far for me, because like if you want to like write your own Warframe lore, like how would you like do the voice line stuff like that? I think that just player generated tiles, and maybe you just combine these tiles together in the sense of first you do exterminate, and you do an assassinate, and you do like a capture or something. Player generated content, I think would be really cool and open up a new avenue for like endless content in a Super Mario Maker style idea. So yeah, let's see. Are there any more questions here in chat that we want to jump on?
See any?
Little Duck as the host? Everyone asks.
Huh?
Little Duck as the host?
No. No.
Oh, actually,
just ruined it.
I found one. Francesca was talking about how would you integrate defection into Railjack. I actually want to answer this by not answering your question. I would not integrate defection into Railjack. Because I think that one of the biggest flaws with Archwing was that they wanted to make Warframe in space. I think that Railjack should take nothing from Warframe's existing missions and just build it from the ground up. Because what we had with Archwing was that, we're doing an interception mission in space, or we're doing this like mobile defense thing in space. But I like it way more in like my regular Warframe tile set, because that makes a lot more sense. Why am I defending this thing here in space? Like, make your own thing. Like, I think Archwing was really held back because they were doing like, let's take our missions.
I've got one for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mission link, right? You have to pick up the defection dudes, right? In your Railjack. So you got a normal defection mission going on, right? You have to pick up the defection dudes in your Archwing, and you have to get them. So not your Archwing, your Railjack, and you have to get them to safety.
Escort.
You have to defend.
Yes. Oh my god, I would love an escort where it's like you really gotta time things right, or your Railjack will blow up and you're done. So it's like you gotta go from point A to point B, and then like that would be really cool, because like right now we're always on the offensive. I would love for like Grenier ships to just like come in, and like you have to like defend against
what if right? So there you are, you're doing the whole defection thing, and the Railjack hasn't turned up yet. You've got to keep these the operatives that are defecting safe while the Railjack is turning up.
Honestly, I think that this would be a great raid thing idea. Because because I think that when it comes to like doing the squad link, it's like we were already talking about, it's like a little bit, but I think for a raid idea, like let's say an 8-player raid, having like 2 separate mission teams that like interject with, like, oh my god, that would be so cool. I would really like that.
Yeah, and the last thing could be picking up the other 4 players. Could drop the mic.
Could you imagine where it's like because like you dock, then you can also like exchange players. So it's like, let's say that we have a better team for like getting the defector out, but then after you do the defector, you need to like blow up like a thing. So then you can be like, okay, we have 2 people, but we have 4 people in the Railjack, 4 people here, but then 2 people from both teams swap out because we can better use these people on the Railjack for the escort thing, and then we can better use. That would be really cool. That would add another layer of tactics to it. I'd like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're done with this episode.
I think
if you enjoyed what you heard, tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. GMT or 2 p.m. EDT or 8 p.m. CET. So many time zones, where you get to listen to us talk and banter about various different things. Next week is going to be a little different in terms of the schedule, only because it's Christmas Day, and like are either of us going to be doing this on Christmas Day? When are we going to do it? Are we going to do it Christmas Eve, or are we going to do it Boxing Day?
We'll probably have an announcement about that on Twitter for
Fair
that.
enough. Fair enough. Good point. Good point. Let's not box ourselves in right now.
If you, by the way,
specific day.
If you guys wanna see the entire version of this stream, you can go to youtube.com/postmalongames. It will be uploaded there tomorrow. If you want to see the highlights, go over to youtube.com/Xenogelion, because you can see this entire thing cut down to about 20 minutes. And if you want to support the continuation of this amazing podcast and various other different kinds of content, go over to patreon.com/Xenogelion to support Drew right here. And if you want to go and support my Patreon, which is something you could do as well, patreon.com/Postma if you want to.
I'm just gonna put everything in the chat.
Well, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have fun with the new update and enjoyed listening to it. If you are watching this as a repeat, I would also love to know your comments, your thoughts in the comments down below. So please do that as well. I'd love to